Welcome, everybody, to the Vessel Church podcast.
Hey.
My name is Lyana Shelton. I'm a worship leader here at Vessel Church, and this podcast is to help you tap into the message from Sunday. I am joined, as always, by the man himself, Pastor Alex Jordan.
When you said you had it figured out, I wasn't sure what you were going to say.
I feel like that was pretty good.
Yeah, it was
because he
good.
actually taught the message today, but
It was less stumbling, so we're good.
it was less stumbling. I was very...
There weren't any like weird illustrious words.
No, although it's fun. I think people like it. I'm not sure. Put it in the comments if you do. But before we get into any of the content, we are very excited because, guys, where are we?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Is this planet Earth?
Is this a new building?
Oh my goodness.
What?
Could it be?
Could it be? Are we trespassing or do we have the keys?
I hope it's the
No,
latter.
we are, in fact, in our new building right now. We are at 111 Youngs Road in Williamsville. It is so beautiful in here.
Yes.
At the time of this recording, we are like just getting the keys, and we're so excited to start renovations and get this ready for you guys to join us.
Mm-hmm.
We had a really cool midweek service. Was that last week?
It was.
Goodness, feels like age ago. But we had all of our members from the church came here and prayed and worshiped together to kind of dedicate this space to the next generation. And then at the end of the night, very exciting, Nick and Gabriella got baptized.
Woohoo,
So we had 2 baptisms,
It was
very
awesome.
exciting
It was a
to
great
kind
night.
of christen our new space. It really was a spectacular night. And there was
Oh my gosh.
popsicles.
Hey, gotta stay cool.
Arguably the best part. We are installing AC. Don't you worry. It's in the plans. But so excited. I don't know if you had anything to share about that, but we're just...
About AC or...
Yeah, about AC.
Yeah, well, someday. No, it was great. It was such a fun night, and it was such a cool way to be able to be in the space for the first time with everybody, to end it, end the evening with a baptism, to be able to have
Yeah.
worship. I mean, being able to worship in this hall was so cool. The resonance in here is
It's
beautiful.
stunning.
The sounds are just amazing, and,
I can't stop singing random things in here to be
Yeah.
like, what does it sound like?
yeah. Well, especially like the evening sun as the sun sets behind the building, it pours in the backside here. It's really special.
It's
We are
gorgeous.
so grateful. We are so grateful to be here.
It really does feel like home. And it's just, I don't know, it's really like immediately feels like a place of our own and this little slice of heaven in the middle
totally
of the
agree, yeah.
village of Lanesville.
That's very cool.
So we're really excited about that, but also very excited to dive into your sermon,
Hey.
Pastor Alex. Alex did a sermon called "When You Call on the Name of the Lord." When you call on the name,
When you call
just
on the
when
name.
you call on the name,
Yeah.
no Lord, sans Lord.
Sans name of Lord.
Lord is implied; it's more in parentheses.
Yes.
When you call on the name,
When you call on the name. Yes.
really, really great sermon. This really centered on the story of Paul on the road to Damascus in Acts 9. But Alex, you started out pretty much by saying every time someone calls on the name of the Lord in the Bible, something miraculous happened.
Yes.
And you had made reference to a Bible study you've been doing about this for some time. Wanted to see, do you have some favorite examples, or do you want to talk a little bit about what that Bible study has looked like?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a favorite, but I think one of my favorites right now is just in the very beginning, in the book of Genesis, when Abraham calls on the name of the Lord. It's when he builds the first altar.
Oh, wow.
It's really cool. It's, obviously his time of surrender with his son Isaac. And it's just, you see like altars are built, miracles happen, nations are saved, seas are parted. Like so many things happen when you call on the name of the Lord. And going through the Old Testament, it's been a really, really powerful study.
Cool.
And then being able to transition that to Acts 9. I thought this was an interesting passage because I got here because the word epikaleo is used, but honestly, the phrasing of like calling on the name of the Lord is used when they're explaining the other Christians, not even when the crazy stuff happens in this passage. It's like when Jesus encounters Paul, that's when he has his, miraculous blindness and then miraculous healing. So there's a lot of really cool things, but this passage was super powerful, and I just loved that I was able to share.
Yeah, it was really great. We hilariously talked offline about my favorite example of calling on the name of the Lord, which was Joshua stopping the sun, which I learned that it is not the same word as calling on the name of the Lord.
Yeah, the root word kara is not used in Joshua 10. Joshua just says, the Bible reads that he said in the presence of the people, he said to the Lord, stop the sun, and so on and so forth.
He'd just be saying stuff to the Lord, which I thought that was very funny. But you use the example of your son Daxon and how he's in the cruising stage.
Yes, traveling around.
If you don't know Dax, that kid does not want to sit still right now.
No.
The second he gets your hands, he is pulling himself up and he's like, you're going to walk me around. I don't care about your lower back. You will walk me for hours.
Yeah. Literally from the moment we got up this morning.
Really?
Oh yeah. He didn't even want me to pick him up out of bed. He wanted to slide his butt off the bed and walk.
Walk.
So I was like, all right, whatever.
Oh my gosh. But how he's been traveling and that the word traveling kind of came up because you had us as a congregation even repeat it as he was traveling along the road. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was a really cool moment as I was reading through the passage that you see, again, as Paul or as Saul was traveling, the people that he was traveling with, as Peter was traveling, it just seemed that, that word kept coming up over and over again. And so I had gone to just, haphazardly in the middle of the study, I was like, let me just define this word. Cause I'm like, I think of traveling, I think of planes, trains, and automobiles,
right.
But the strict definition of travel is when you're between two places. And I just thought that was a really cool moment for people to be able to put themselves in this story. Because you may not be on the road to Damascus. You may not be on the road to Tabitha's house. You may not be in the midst of a miraculous healing, but we're all between two places. Anytime we're going from destination to destination, we're traveling. And I think it's a great reminder for us that when we're between two places, which is almost all day, every day.
9 times out of 10.
That we should be calling on the name of the Lord.
That's so good. It was making me think when you were talking about that for the majority of the time that the disciples were doing ministry, they would have been traveling.
Yeah.
That most of what they were doing is not the things that are written down in the Bible. It's the days of long walks between cities, that they must have had to do so much walking and so much and you think about I don't often think about what kind of conversations they would have had, what they would have been thinking about, what they would have been praying about or singing about as they were going. And that it was probably such a good time for God to kind of step in if their kind of mind was quiet and they were just moving along. I think about so many people have good prayer times when they're driving to work in the morning. I had the best prayer times when I was driving to Buff State when I was a student there because I had commuted. So I had about a 30-minute drive there and back. And I'm like, God and I had some good conversations in that time just because we were traveling.
Some us time, yeah.
We just had some time.
Yeah. No, it's really cool. It's also crazy because, however word traveled, usually by foot, but as they neared a town or when people would find out that they were in a nearby town, they would send for the apostles and they'd be like, hey, come on. So it's they almost didn't even know where or when they were traveling. They were just we're between two places again,
it's like when a musical artist is they're like, oh, Brazil, it was great tonight. And they're like, when are you coming to Tokyo? When are you coming to Portugal?
Yeah, seriously. Make a stop here.
Make a stop. Go to Buffalo.
Yeah, on your 20 leg tour, there's 15 other people 15 other places that people are requesting you to come. Yeah, that would have been the life of Peter, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But I really liked you had 2 points that you kind of talked about throughout the service. And it was that we need to call on God's perspective and call on God's power. And you talked about, you made a really interesting point about how Paul was calling on the name of the Lord in the way that he knew how before the road to Damascus, but it wasn't the right way.
Yeah.
And that calling on his name takes practice. And I kind of wanted to get into some practicals of for somebody who's either coming to faith or feels I don't know if I'm appropriately calling on the name of the Lord. What does that really look like in practice?
Yeah, I think, we're a lot of times, especially in this country, people are raised in a particular faith or are raised with the faith of a family member or friend or something like that. And so the practices that we have are usually aligned with some tradition or some teaching that we were raised with. And I think those things can be great. They can be influential. They can be inspiring. They can direct us in the way that the Lord may be calling. But I think also just always making sure that you're bringing it back to like God's word, right? Understanding the scriptures, reading through the Bible, gaining his perspective through his lens, because I think there's a lot of things that like we think or believe from a, 2026 Western hemisphere ideology that's like, that's normal, or that's okay, or this is the status quo.
Sure.
And just always coming back to like, okay, but like what does Jesus call us to, or what is Jesus's standard in this situation, or his perspective? And the way that we can gain God's perspective is through his word. It's one very practical way that we can gain his perspective. Another is through prayer. And I think a third very tangible practice for gaining his perspective is the help and guidance of other spiritual friends, like really sharpening each other from the standpoint of like, hey, I know your standard's the word, my standard's the word. How are we going to hold each other accountable to the word? And that can be difficult because again, if we're not rooted in his perspective, we're rooted in someone else's perspective. And we're doing things based on their interpretation of things rather than what does the Bible say about that? I think that's something that's been very special very important and special for us at Vessel is like everything we do comes back to, okay, but like, what does the Bible say about that? Time and time again, it's like, it's not who's right, it's what's right. And so how do we gain God's perspective? Well, we rely on his infallible word. We lean on him in prayer, and then we trust the people who his word and prayer have directed us to help sharpen us here on earth.
That's so good. Oh, that's so good. Because I really liked that you made the point that like, when we call on the name of the Lord appropriately, like when we really are doing it correctly, that our pride can become humility. And I think about somebody like Paul, and honestly, the story of the road to Damascus has always kind of like shook me. I'm like, this dude was literally like going about his life thinking he was doing like the most effective thing he could do for God.
Right.
And he got literally blinded. And he was just struck with it. And he was completely at God's mercy.
Right.
And they had a conversation and worked it out. And that I think a lot of times, like, people get their road to Damascus moment and don't want to, like, have that moment of surrender to be like, what is God calling me to? Like, I think people want to be like, oh, why am I blind right now? Like, why am I in pain? Why am I blind? Like, and like, why am I scared? Instead of being like, what is God actually calling me to? And that having that perspective on your life from your friends, from your prayer life, from your Bible study can really help you have more of a humble response to moments like that than having a prideful response, which I thought was so good. And you made the very powerful example of that by talking about how when we found out about Dax's diagnosis and kind of what most people's prayers looked like versus what the prayer really should have looked like. And for those of you who don't know, I think most people know that he has HRHS, and that when we found out as a congregation, we were all praying a number of different things about Dax's diagnosis. But I think for the most part, people were praying that that wouldn't be the case. When he was born, that wouldn't be what was going to happen to him. And I think that always comes from a very good place. And I think God can do miracles. But you made the point that really what we should have been praying for was for that amazing care team that God set up for him, and praying for the people who are going to understand him and know what to do for him and like help him be the little boy that he is now. Not to like mince words, but I think like it's, calling on his perspective, the terminology that I'd use, or the phrase that I'd said was like, not necessarily asking God to bless your plans, but to expose him to what his plans are for your life. And where so pride becomes humility in calling on his perspective is you stop trying to force God's hand to do the things that you want. And you start coming to terms with like, okay, it may not be exactly what I like or how I wanted it to happen, but this is your plan for my life, and I want to get on board. And, the situation with Paul is very applicable because he was very much doing something in direct contrast to what he would end up devoting the rest of his life and dying for. And so, but that took a deep level of humility that only came from gaining God's perspective. And it wasn't until he was, spiritually blind and then literally blinded, was able to restore his sight that he could then see clearly, like, this is what God's plan is for my life. And so coming back to the example with Daxon, it's like, everybody was praying for him to be miraculously healed. And I was too. Like, I thought that was, that was a faithful prayer. That was something that I wanted for him. But really the miracle that I didn't know I should have been praying for was the cardiothoracic heart surgeon that operates on tiny little baby hearts. Like, the care team that ultimately
literally took Lydia and I in as family and made us feel so welcome and safe and comfortable during one of the most uncomfortable seasons of our life. And so it was one of these things where I was like, man, this is a miracle. Like these people are miraculous. This care team is miraculous. This institution is a miracle here on earth. And their ability to save these little kids' lives who are born with heart defects is miraculous, you know? And so I think, you know, that's a pretty big example from my own personal life, but I think it's just one of those things where we tend to pray for the things that we want the way that we want them.
Yes.
And we miss what God is doing because we're constantly trying to force his hand to say, no, this is what I want. This is how it's supposed to look, rather than saying, God, show me what your plan is. Show me how you want this to look. Yes. Show me what you desire in this season, in this moment, in this situation. And I think that's where calling on his perspective leads into, you know, calling on his power, because it's one of those things where they kind of go hand in hand. You experience his power when you call on his perspective. And so, sorry, not to get ahead of us.
No, but I felt like that was so great, because I really liked that you talked about then that like you get to become a part of God's story, that like you don't just kind of force your own or demand him to answer your prayer, but like to become a part of the story that God is writing for you.
Yeah.
And this is such a silly example in comparison to what you're actually talking about. But like I know for me, one of the things that like for the longest time I was single, and I remember distinctly, it was 2020, January 2020, and we were praying for miracles. And my miracle prayer that year, I was 22 years old, was that I would be married by 23. And then we went into lockdown.
Woof.
And I remember being like, but God, I was so faithful. I prayed for it.
This is what I asked for.
This is what I asked for.
How are you going to make it happen?
I'm your disciple. I've been faithful. Why aren't you doing it? Like, you know, and it felt like it was like such a hard no at that time. And I remember I had to kind of wrestle with like, am I going to be mad that he didn't answer me right now? Or am I going to wait and see what story he actually has for me in store? And then it was only a couple of years later that my husband Lucas came to church for the first time. And I was a little bit older, but it didn't matter because I met him at the exact right moment. And I think I would have missed out on a lot of really important character growth and a lot of relationships and friendships that I think I would not have been able to be a good wife at all if not for those moments that God kind of had to let play out for a while. Like I needed to be happy on my own. I needed those years, you know, and I think if I would have just kept getting like frustrated and demanding and bitter with it, then like it wouldn't have been as sweet when he showed up. Yeah. You know, and I love our story, and now here I am all these years later thinking I would never have wanted to change a thing. Because it was perfect, you know? And I think that like we can often like overcomplicate our faith and like think that like if we just put a prayer out there that it's gonna be answered exactly the way we think, instead of having the heart of surrender. Yeah. And we're back at surrender, everyone. Hey.
It all comes back around.
It always comes back to surrender. Yeah. Always. It's
safe to say.
How quickly can you do it? But that it like once we surrender our plans to what God has in store, he always has something better for us. Yeah. And I think the testimony of who Dax has been so faith building to me and so many people. And getting to watch like Lydia, like my sister has started a Instagram account talking about Dax's diagnosis and kind of encouraging people that like there is hope if your kid has a diagnosis like that. Yeah. And it's been really, really cool. She's only been doing it for like maybe a month or two. How many moms have already reached out to want to talk? I mean, you guys just had a couple over for dinner.
Yeah, we were able to connect with a couple who lived locally and found us online. There was a couple who were in like the south eastern side of Canada who just recently reached out. Yeah. And so it's definitely reaching people. I think there was another couple yesterday that Lydia had contacted Lydia. So it's really cool to see. And then even just how the algorithm works, right? We found a young boy who's, I think he's in like high school or college, but he has HLHS and he just kind of blogs his days. And so he was talking about how he was at a sporting event the other day and he was like, I had to take some extra care of myself, make sure I was hydrating, make sure I was, staying out of the sun as much as I could. But all in all, I was able to go play golf with my friends in the morning and then softball with my buddies at night. Like just talking about how he had a full day and did everything that all of his other friends did. He just had to take a little bit more care of himself than maybe an average kid would have to think through.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's stuff like that that's really inspiring.
Yeah. And I think like how many people like you guys have gotten to connect with and help and like that like kind of create a resource for people that like had you not gone through this, had Dax not had these difficulties, like you wouldn't have these connections, like God wouldn't be making these doors open.
Yeah.
And I just think that's really, really powerful. And I really, really liked you told the story about how like when Dax needs help, he just doesn't think about it. He just looks up at you and is like, Dada, Dada.
Yeah.
And how we overcomplicate our faith.
Yeah.
Because that's really what we should do to God. That like when we're in trouble, when we need help, that just kind of being like, God, what's going on? Like how much that changes things.
Yeah.
And that, you know, we complicate our faith and we forget that like it's as simple as just calling on the name of the Lord, calling on God's name, praying it through, talking it through, reading our Bibles, and having God speak life into our hearts. So I was really inspired by this sermon. I thought it was really good.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, no, it's been a really cool study. It's been like one of the first like full-fledged studies I've been able to undertake since Dax was born.
Yeah.
There was a lot of like, just getting advice about like, man, I'm so tired. Life is crazy. No one's sleeping. Like, and,
That's gotta be hard as a parent.
Like
to,
friends were like,
keep
yeah,
a
like
Bible study.
focus on worship music, focus on like some inspirational psalms, some gospel stories, like keep it real, like simple, so you can just get your word,
get what you need,
and then move on. Yeah, and so this has been like one of the first studies that I've been able to really like dive into, and it's been really cool. But to be able to do it, alongside again parenthood and all that other fun stuff, there's always new perspective. Like I opened the sermon again by just saying like, hey, if you don't know, welcome. Where Daxon helps me write this sermon, even though he doesn't know it yet.
That was so funny,
and it's so true.
And we had new people at church, so that was funny.
Yeah, well, it's wildly accurate how much that little man does, help me reflect on my relationship with God and all that other stuff. So it's really cool. And
I feel like this sermon goes like, I know like we've had some like core topics this year that like of surrender, of delayed gratification. Like, I feel like this is another one of those delayed gratification sermons that like calling on the name of the Lord, eventually your blindness is going to be healed, but you're going to have to sit in the darkness for a minute and figure it out and listen to what he has to say.
There are so many cool aspects, like so many mini sermons and studies within that passage. It's wild. I mean, I think about like Paul's blindness and how he was blind for 3 days. Like, that's no coincidence. Or even the fact that like God chose to like take away his sight because he was so spiritually blind. Like he was headed in the opposite direction of what the way was and what Christianity was trying to become and who Jesus was teaching people to be. And then, he meets Jesus on the road and he's like, hey, I'm the one you're persecuting. Like, you got it wrong, bud.
Yeah.
And Paul's like, oh.
And how convicting that it took him a minute, but like that he was immediately led to a disciple that helped him.
Yeah.
Like that was like, hey, this guy's been killing Christians. God is like, help him.
Yeah.
Go and help him. And then he did it. And like how faith building that like for 3 days he was at the mercy of somebody he was actively persecuting.
Right. Yeah.
And he was well taken care of.
It's wild.
That's
like
insane.
The mercy that yeah, absolutely. I mean, just again, the humility that he would have had to have. And it's cool that even like the guys that he were with, like they didn't, they heard a sound. Like later in the book of Acts, it talks about how like they didn't hear the words spoken, they heard the sound. Yeah. So it's like they had to trust what Paul was saying in that moment of like, hey, I got to go to a street called Straight and meet this guy named Ananias and he's going to restore my sight. I got I mean, just the whirlwind that they're like, what? Like, what is going on here? I thought we were going to Damascus to take captive prisoners. Like, now we're going to a street called Straight to meet Ananias. Like,
who's that guy?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what do you mean? So it's wild. It's such a crazy story, but that's the way the Bible is. I mean, there are so many stories that you're like, how is this happening?
How is this happening?
Yeah, God is good all the time. His plan is wild, but it is ultimately right.
Yeah. He just likes the dramatics, he's got to create a good story.
There's some theatrics in there for sure.
The ultimate storyteller. I respect that. As a theater kid, you got to have some
as a
pizzazz.
Scriptwriter.
As a scriptwriter, you got to have a little showmanship, and I appreciate that from the Lord. But this is so great. Do you have anything else you want to share for the sermon?
No, I think it was, again, it was a really grateful for the opportunity to share. I love that passage. I think it's been a really inspiring study. So I'll be back up there this week. So if you are looking for a place to come, 45 Transit Road for the time being. We're hoping maybe in the next few weeks we'll be able to give out a date for us to be able to meet here.
So
it's
exciting.
under repair, and we will be under repair for a little while. We're going to be doing little projects here and there, but we want to be able to share this space with the community as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So we're hoping sooner rather than later.
Yeah. If you're on your road to Damascus, come and find us in the street called not straight, but 111 South Young Road.
Yes.
Is it South Young or just Young? I say it every time.
I think it is on
South
Google
Young.
Maps. It's like South Young's. All the utility companies that I've been calling have been saying it's South Young's.
Yeah.
So we'll go with South Young's.
We'll go with that.
It sounds
Across from
special.
ECC. Yeah.
It sounds special.
It sounds special. This is our forever home. We're very excited. But we love you guys. If you're in the area, at the time of this recording, I'm thinking that our next midweek is going to be our next Taste and See event.
Yes.
We're very excited about that. It will be dinner themed.
Hey.
Wait.
Lunch.
Oh my gosh.
It's all right.
Lunch themed because it's an afternoon tea. It's going to be beautiful.
That's awesome.
That'll be at Andrea Hammond's place. If you need the address for that, message us on our website and we'll give you that there. But outside of that, we love you guys. And as always,
Go Bills.
da da da.